So anyway, Flare Corona was about a book I had written over 6 years and started when Trump got elected, and I was diagnosed with terminal liver cancer. And they gave me 6 months to live and said, make your will, all that stuff. And I got a second opinion. They said the same thing. And then I got a third opinion. They were like, well, you've got tumors, but maybe they're not going to kill you immediately. So that was really relieving. And then, and they haven't killed me yet, so knock on wood. And then about 6 months after that, I woke up and I couldn't walk or talk, and I thought I'd had a stroke, but it turned out I developed multiple sclerosis. I got that diagnosis. So it was a super fun couple of years, as you can imagine. And there's also fun stuff in this book. It's not just about, the journey of being diagnosed with cancer and then MS, but also, there's some super villains in here, some solar weather, hence the solar eclipse on the cover and everything. So I'm going to start out with a couple of more fun poems, and then we'll move to kind of sadder poems, but we could just stick with the funny poems if you want. All right. So this is the first poem. Can you guys hear me in the back? A self-portrait as murder mystery. A luxury liner on the high seas loses contact during a storm. A train is trapped in perilous mountains by an avalanche of snow. A cabin on an island when the power goes out. The passengers are suddenly isolated and everyone is a suspect. The kindly nanny may be an American spy. The prince, who is certainly an assassin. Everyone else is a magician or a Nazi scientist. Every detail oozes with malice. A waiter who pours the suspect tea into a cup with studied grace. A newspaper headline that announces bombings in an obscure European town. The anarchist dragged out to be shot by the ever-present police. There are so many coincidences and red herrings that every missing ring, every lost suitcase inherits charged importance. What you love about these stories is the shoestring lace that ties everything together. The trail of clues, like pebbles you could follow home to make order out of chaos. How we long for our lives to be as easily solved. What a surprise for the reader when the murderer turns out to be the narrator herself. The way she slipped out of the room at the right time with the gun, the way she misled everyone with her kind smile and rhinestone cane. So, I like murder mysteries. Oh, Glenn, did I miss my, can I get my drink? All right, this next poem is called Calamity, and I wrote it about 2 months before the pandemic hit. But I had read in the newspaper that a Chinese doctor had been arrested for talking about some lab workers who had died. And I was like, oh no. I watched too many of those disaster movies. So this is called Calamity. Your family is coming over for Thanksgiving. Even worse, it's snowing. Headless robots are playing soccer with your soul. UFOs have been sighted overhead. A meteor is definitely heading straight for you. It might miss, but then again. Tonight, a city is being decimated by Godzilla. Or was it a bunch of genetically engineered dinosaurs? Either way, I hope you're lizard friendly. Tonight, you have to give a speech, and that girl that hated you in 3rd grade will be in the audience. What have I ever done to deserve this? The prophet asks, tearing his robes in the desert. And God responds, how long you got? A plague of egrets, of egrets, of egress. A black hole has just opened up and it is already swallowing someone else's son. Did you see the team play last night? A travesty. Someone is always preaching about doomsday. Who are you wearing? Because tonight your life will be required of you. Grab a bag, a sword, a water bottle. Go out swinging. So the next poem might require a little backstory because my father was a nuclear engineer who worked in nuclear safety for Oak Ridge National Labs in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. That's where I grew up, which is very similar to Hanford, Washington. It is pretty contaminated with cesium-137. So this is called Irradiate. As a child, I was radiant. The land grew irradiated corn and roses, tomatoes large and abundant. Swallows and catfish carried the isotopes into water and woods. The sun rose each day while the shadows of trees concealed government laboratories where my father worked. I grew up listening to the tap-click of the Geiger counter. I grew up listening to clicks on the phone line. I was still innocent, irradiated, to blast with radiation, to sterilize food, medical equipment, a person. I was waiting for a message from the sky. I knew what it meant to illuminate the fall of light on a painting or through a window that irradiated to feel the flowers of the face of someone you loved, to bring the full beauty of something to the surface. I was irradiated by the gentle glow of the computer screen, by the microwave, by the sun growing brighter each spring, dimmer each fall. I mean, I was full of radiation. I meant I was full of light. I meant I could give birth to nothing but light. So yeah, a little more serious. Got a little serious on you. I'm sorry about that. A little adjustment. This is called My Life is an Accident. My life is an accident of DNA and radiation, a million missed chances for death to sweep me off my feet. Too many of this, not enough of that. A witch's spell for trouble. Red-haired and scarlet-fevered, born with wings and a tail, an immune system weak as a kitten and a knack for being in the wrong weeds at the wrong time. Fascinated with systems, folders, and fossils, tracking down dinosaurs and later delivery systems for rare antivirals, government research into nuclear facilities, conspiracy theories about aliens and solar flares. I was never meant, not planned, not absorbed into the mainstream, never meant to survive this long according to charts and scans. She's a miracle, they said. She's a mutant. She's a baby born of a bad seed. Modern living makes a body bitter, our blood and flesh filled with hormone disruptors, flame retardants, and false positives. But I'm a haymaker, a harbinger, a fateful warning of things to come. We're not close to the summer solstice yet, are we? Another few weeks, right? Oh well, it's a summer solstice, cool. Reading portents on the summer solstice. We wake up in Seattle, shrouded in fog, darker than June should be. Someone's called in another bomb threat. That's how we'll remember this summer, a year of shootings and trucks plowing into crowds, the tourists running in terror on the television. The papers say the investigations will continue. This morning you dropped a bottle of peppermint oil, a shard of glass in the thick skin of your hand. All around us, the sharp smell of mint follows. The hummingbirds fight in the air over feeders and fuchsias, the cool day growing finally sunny towards the end. In high school, the hot days went on forever, sticky till 10 p.m., lounging on the deck in Midwestern heat. What hothouse flowers we were then, growing up too fast in the pressure of those June evenings. Maybe we became explosive, unstable, unable to stay in one place too long. Restless, we drove into the west, these unsunny, persistent green shores where we wait out the rain patiently. We've forgotten the insistent hum that summer used to bring, the itch and swell of sunburn and bug bites. We've let the cold seep into our bodies. We've become allergic to light. So, I don't know if how many of you know this, but one of the reasons this book is called Flare Corona is flare is one of the things they call, of course, solar flares, but also when you have an MS incident, right? Your symptoms act up or your brain gets inflamed, they call it a flare. So this is called Self-Portrait as Flare. The moon is dark as blood and ashes falling from the sky. Around us, the mountains are on fire. Inside me, a flare is robbing me of memory, my legs' strength, my sense of balance, my mouth forgetting how to form certain words the way our beloved rain has abandoned us. They talk risk management, putting me in a wheelchair, building in adaptive structures, a future of ramps and bars. Like me, our city balances on a ring of fire, a nest of volcanoes and fissures on our edge of the continent. Our bodies betrayals like teens in a dry forest, tossing fireworks as they walk, destroying worlds on a whim. We are all fragile and ready for sudden instabilities, for our structures to go up in flames, forgotten. We etch our stories into architecture of stone and paper, knowing we must hurry before the inflammation consumes us all. All right, this has a little more funniness in it. It's not all dark. Okay, how many of you guys are familiar with string theory? Yes, no? If I make a couple of jokes about string theory, they might be in here, that's all I'm saying. Okay. This is the darkest timeline. One that started with a roll of the dice, an election gone awry, a time of fire and flood. We started to panic at every pandemic, went to quarantine, playing quarters. We've all become the evil versions of ourselves, just trying to get back to the prime timeline, the one where everything went right, when our memories weren't clouded by calamity. That butterfly that flapped its wings, the animal virus gone rogue. We couldn't buy butter or bullets. We waited with bated breath underground. When we emerge anew, it will be with new eyes. Our currency changed from cash to cashews and cheese sandwiches. You can't remember the taste of food without tin. You can't remember how to kiss. Your sense of time scrambled. You learned to throw a knife and gut a fish. The darkest timeline has taken us the way of apocalypse, earthquake, supervolcanoes, and tidal waves. We can't take any more disaster. We've buried too many bodies and sheltered in place too long to forget. When we started this journey, it was nothing left to lose. Now we're too tired to remember how fresh fruit used to smell, the pale pink of cherry blossoms, the days before the coyotes took over our streets. They haven't taken over our streets yet. Still around though. I always feel like the coyotes are just biding their time. Just biding their time. All right. This is another animal-based poem called "In a Plague Year I Found Foxes." In a plague year I found foxes all around. On islands, red fur, gray, dusky black, shades of autumn leaves, eyes amber and unafraid, standing in grasses waiting for us. I found the fox inside me, curling up in twigs and fur, my sharpened teeth and hunger. I burrowed in to protect us from the plague, but there was nowhere to run. Like flames in the forest, it was all around us, lives going up in smoke. I never left the forest. I trusted only familiar paths, familiar smells, dirt, trees, beetles, berries that stained our mouths. I drew poems in the dust. I grew a tail. I left fox fur wherever I went. I don't know now how I will come back, or if I will. Our burrow littered with bones and mushrooms, a home for the spirits of the dead. I can never outrun death. It is coming for us both. Enjoy the colors of this winter sunset, the bare branches, the visits of other foxes, their cries in the night, the softness around us, the tenderness of endings. And this is based on a true story in that I did, in fact, plant a fig tree. Has it given me any figs? It has not. But in the second year of the plague, I plant a fig tree because I want to know what it's like to be new again, Eden, with green figs and honey. It'll be just you and me and maybe a snake for company. Although the roses are growing a thorn hedge already around us. Listen to me, sing a new song, burn rosemary and rose petals. We'll become a city on a hill. We've paved the way with things we lost, cake flour, lipstick, a discarded pile of masks, smiling up at us like ghosts. We dreamed of this day, but didn't remember how much it cost us. We've already forgotten how things were before the plague, nightclubs, sharing appetizers with a friend, casual hugs, even accidentally brushing a stranger's hand. So we'll be born again, love, standing under this tree, new and shiny as apples, free to make a new world, free of memory, ignorant of God or virus, demon or machine, empty of knowledge, ready to start over, ready to start with a plate of green figs, under the juice of the ripening moon, ready to grow roots into the earth. So, just two more poems and I'll get out of here. When I thought I was dying. When I thought I was dying, it was so easy to love things. Birds, the flutter of branches, my husband who always has to be right. I thought, I will lose all of this. I hugged my cats more. I watched less television, except for comedies which drug me to sleep at night. Stupid 50s night sci-fi films especially. Maybe I loved them too. I loved poetry and wrote almost every day, thinking, I do not have time to write. The lights would flicker and threaten outages. How like our bodies these power lines are, reliable until they are not. eaten by rats or rammed by cars at random. You see how I thought everything was profound, my Netflix recommendations, passing a woman on the street and smiling. I ate a lot more pancakes, something I hadn't done since childhood. I thought, maybe there will be a miracle. Maybe I will have more time, a temporary grant of extension. I will still do taxes and fill out forms at the doctor's office. I will still have time to be mad at traffic. I will stop petting random dogs. I'll have time to stop noticing when the hummingbird or deer pauses to look in my eyes the moment before. That's the thing about having time. You miss so much. And so this is the last poem. If I can change these pages with my fingers, which apparently I cannot. All right, you know what? This poem does not want to be read. Come out from this. I'm so sorry. I'm having a huge description. All right, they were stuck together. I'm just gonna take a drink. The pages were fighting me. Wish you were here. Postcard from a pandemic. We talked yesterday about how it might be the last time we saw each other. What did we say then? How I said I wasn't scared, but I was. It's different here on this side of the water. More deaths. The statistics seem louder. I hope you were trying to garden. I sent you a letter and some Tylenol. You still have my sweater and my circular saw. The last time we ate dinner together, we should have said some kind of prayer. We should have said goodbye. Here is a picture of you from 12th grade. I will remember you when all else has perished. I will remember you when humanity has been erased from the earth. We have become fairy tales, like dragons, faintly remembered. You will be flying and carrying a sword. I will be wearing a red cloak, surrounded by fire. Thank you.